Hey friends, welcome to our first inaugural Muse Challenge study night. So for those of you who have been keeping an eye on the community tab on my page and following me on social media, you'll know that the Muse Challenge Summits are a new initiative that I'm starting for this community, and I want to invite every single one of you to join because I really think it's going to help you take your writing to the next level. So tonight we're previewing what's going to happen in the upcoming Muse Challenge, which is all about writing dynamic dialogue. In this study night, we're going to delve into what makes character voices shine in dialogue and how can we craft unique character voices? How can we really hone in on that so that we could literally skim dialogue and maybe not even have to check the tags of who's speaking, because that's how distinct the character voices are, right? We want our characters to sound like real 3D people living in a real world, not just flat characters on a page. So that's what we're going to study tonight. We're going to take a look at some examples that I wrote up, a few different examples that and the changes that were made to see what it did to the dialogue. And we're also going to look at an example in classical literature, as well as some of the principles that can help us make our character voices unique, distinct, and flavorful. I'm going to be live in the chat, so if you have any questions, definitely feel free to ask because I would love to know your thoughts and answer as many as I possibly can. So without further ado, let's jump into it. All you have to do in order to be on that first December call, it's going to be a live Zoom call where we all come together to talk about crafting dynamic dialogue. I'm going to present you with a unique challenge after we brainstorm together. You're going to walk away with a really cool booklet full of notes from the summit and ideas to take with you into your month of writing. So if you want to sign up for that, just go to my Patreon with the link below and register by supporting at the Muse Challenge Summit level. But for tonight, here on our channel, here on the YouTube channel, we're going to be delving into how to make your unique character voices shine in dialogue. So this is something that is so important no matter what kind of story you're writing, to focus in on making each character voice unique. I love it when I'm reading, whether it's a book, a novel, a script for a film, and I don't even need to look at what the tag is, like who's speaking. I don't even need to check because I already know who's speaking just based upon how unique and distinctive their character's voice is. So we can create this with our own characters. We can craft unique character voices by just implementing a few really simple tools to help us hone our character's voice and make it super distinct so that when our readers are flipping the page, they may not even need to check those dialogue tags to see who's speaking. First, take some time to really study who they are and actually take some notes on your own characters. How do they express themselves? What do they do when they're nervous? What's some special phrases maybe only they use? So in real life, we all have little unique things we do, right? Unique things we say, nervous tics, things we'll do when we're a little bit anxious. On the flip side of the coins, things we'll do when we're happy or excited. What are some of those things? What are some phrases only they use? What makes them unique as an individual person? And I really want to encourage you to think of them as a person, not just a character, but who are they as a person? If you were to spend time with them in real life, what are some of the things about them that would jump out at you? Take some time to take a couple of notes here. Whether you are writing out a character profile, which I'm going to give you guys a free character profile to fill out with the link below, so make sure you grab that. It's a free character profile that I curated just for this brainstorming session at this study night. So grab that because it will get you kick-started in this process of figuring out exactly who your character is and little unique things about them, things that make them feel special to you. But if you would rather just jot this down in a journal, you can also just freehand this completely. Ask yourself, what are some things that they say and do when they're nervous, when they're happy, when they're surprised? What are some little nervous habits they have? All of these things help you to get a really clear image of how your character behaves and also how they interact with other characters. And those types of interactions is what's going to spill over into how they interact in dialogue. Here's an example character profile that I created that we're just going to use as a quick example here. Let's say we have a character named Seth. He's 19. A quick description, and this is a great example of how this does not need to be complicated. You can make this really quick and easy breezy. Seth is a young ranch hand who grew up on a horse farm in Texas. He has a positive, upbeat personality, always tries to look for the good in everyone around him, and has a bright, energetic voice. So there we go. Let's think, what is the tone of their voice? Are they sunshiny and optimistic? Do they look at the glass half full? Are they a little more pessimistic? Are they quiet? Are they outgoing? Are they introverted? Are they extroverted? These are all questions you can ask yourself as you fill out these profiles. So he has a bright, energetic voice, and it's difficult to get this guy down in the dumps. So he's very energetic. He's young, he's happy, he's excited about life. That's just a really quick paragraph. Really, we're just working with a paragraph here. That gives us a little flavor of who this character is. Example 2. Now we have a different character. We're going to make this character quite a bit different from the first. So we have Amanda, age 37. So big difference in age, which we're going to adjust the tone of the voice accordingly. Description. Amanda has spent her adult life climbing the corporate ladder in New York. She's taken a break from the hustle of work life after her divorce to recharge her batteries at a Texas dude ranch. Amanda tends to see the glass half empty more often than not, and she spends a lot of energy searching for danger around every corner. So we can see here, these two characters are going to be quite interesting juxtaposed alongside each other because they're quite different. So we're only working with 2 characters in this scene because it's going to be a very small example scene, but we can do this for as many characters as we have. Let's say we have a Dickensian cast of maybe 19 characters. We can create profiles like this for every single one, whether it's a profile written out like we have here, or whether it's a profile that we're just keeping track of in our head. When we start to really pin down the character's voice and a little bit about them, it can help us to more accurately preserve the tone of their voice in dialogue. So here we have 2 characters that are quite a bit different from each other. Let's see how these differences are going to affect their voices. We want to limit the overlap of character voices by really understanding who our characters are and how they speak. So here we're going to be looking at the way Seth speaks versus the way Amanda speaks. I wrote these examples from first person perspective, from Seth's point of view. So we're going to be looking at it through that lens, but it applies no matter whose perspective you're writing it from, or if it's written in third person, all the same rules will apply. And I don't want to say one is a weak example and one is a strong example. Rather, they're both very different from each other, and I think we can learn things from both of them. And it can be worth it to play with this yourself. Write your own version of what you think this should sound like and leave it in the comments below, because I would absolutely love your participation in this, and I would love to hear what your own unique version sounds like. So here we go. Are you sure this is safe? Amanda asks, adjusting the straps of her riding helmet. This horse seems pretty jumpy. I think I'll break some bones if I fall off. Don't worry, Penny is a very gentle horse, I say. We'll start off slowly and work our way up from there. Have you ever ridden before? Amanda shakes her head. I think I did once when I was little. I don't remember if I really enjoyed it or not. Don't worry, I say to her. I'm sure it will come back to you. I help Amanda up into the saddle and she takes the horse's reins. For a moment, there's a look of panic in her eyes. Then she seems to calm as Penny takes a few steps forward. See, I say, walking beside her. It's not so bad, is it? I guess not, she replies. So here's our first example. I'm not going to say too much about it because I want you to just take a look at it for a moment. Read it over, just take a note real quick what jumps out to you about it. And then we're going to move on to the second example and see what some of the differences are. So here we are, example 2. Are you positive this horse won't throw me off? Amanda asks, fiddling with the straps of her riding helmet. She seems a little jumpy to me. Maybe we should try this another day. Don't worry, Penny is a very gentle horse. She'll take good care of you, I reassure her. We'll start slowly and work our way up from there. Have you ever ridden before? Once when I was a child, but I hardly think that counts. She exhales a dry laugh. Well, I'm sure it will all come back to you. I step in to give Amanda a leg up, and she gathers the horse's reins. For a flash, there's a look of panic in her eyes. Then she seems to relax as Penny takes a few steps forward. A grin forms on my lips. There you go, see? That's not so bad, is it? Amanda looks down at the horse uneasily, a laugh stumbling out of her. I suppose it's not quite as intimidating as I remember. So there's our second example. And as you can see, there's quite a few differences in this piece, even though we're only working with a very small scene here. All we're working with is Amanda getting on the horse and the couple pieces of dialogue that are being exchanged in conversation here. But this example does have some unique differences that allow the character voices to shine just a little bit better. And I really want you to, rather than looking at one example, as I said, as one is bad and one is good, look at what do you like about this one and what do you like about the other one? What do you dislike about the first example? What do you dislike about this one? There's always going to be things that you can take from both. We can take the best of both worlds and mesh them together to make something that's really uniquely our own. This isn't about just following a one-size-fits-all formula to write dialogue. It's about familiarizing yourself with your characters' voices, with your own unique style, and with what makes you feel your best as you're writing it. Really getting used to what is going to help you make your character voices shine even brighter. So now I'm going to flip to another screen and we're going to look at what exactly are the differences that I changed from example 1 to example 2 that brought out the character voices and their distinct personalities a little bit better. All right, so here we have a little screen that's showing us the differences. The different things that were changed are highlighted in green. So let's read through it together. And I'm going to just quickly explain the differences. And I'd love for you to comment right about now in the chat or in the comments if you're not watching this in real time and tell me what you think of the changes and what you might have done differently. Are you positive this horse won't throw me off? Amanda asks. So right away, we're actually making her voice a little bit stronger by using a word like positive. Amanda's much older than Seth. She comes from a completely different background. We're working with a very sophisticated character. She's not sure if she even wants to be riding this horse. She's a little bit skeptical of the whole experience. So she wants to be positive that this isn't going to turn south pretty quick. So we're going to have her strengthen her language from, are you sure the horse isn't going to throw me off, to, are you positive this horse won't throw me off, because she really wants to know. And I imagine her to be someone who really knows what she wants. She's going to speak a little more to the point here. All right, so then we move into the tag. Amanda asks, fiddling with the straps of her riding helmet. We changed adjusting the straps of her riding helmet to fiddling with the straps of her riding helmet because this tag is actually the voice of Seth, who is narrating this scene because it's from his point of view. Now, Seth is the young ranch hand. He's probably going to be a little more laid back in how he talks. So instead of saying adjusting her riding helmet, which feels a little flat and flavorless, he might say something like she's fiddling with the straps of her riding helmet, which helps a little bit of his personal voice to shine through here. She seems a little jumpy to me. Maybe we should just try this another day. right away. She's trying to get out of it. And we can tell that her personality isn't necessarily someone who wants to go out on a limb to try something new and exciting. She likes things that are reliable. As we discussed in her profile, she kind of is looking for danger around every corner. So she might be looking for the first opportunity to escape an experience like this. Don't worry, Penny is a very gentle horse. She'll take good care of you, I reassure her. We'll start slowly and work our way up from there. Have you ever ridden before? Once when I was a child, but I hardly think that counts. She exhales a dry laugh. So here we added, she exhales a dry laugh just instead of she says, to make this dialogue tag a little more colorful and to bring a little more of Amanda's voice to the surface. She's exhaling a dry laugh. She's nervous. She's not comfortable. This is showing a little bit of her body language here, which is nice in a scene like this where we have a stronger emotion at play, which is Amanda is nervous. I step in to give Amanda a leg up and she gathers the horse's reins. We changed this line because it helps us to see Seth's background better. Rather than just simply saying, I helped her up onto the horse, Seth, being an experienced ranch hand who's grown up on a Texas ranch, would most likely say something more like, I give her a leg up and she gathers the horse's reins, which sounds more like a character who grew up in this environment. For a flash, there's a look of panic in her eyes. Then she seems to relax. So there we changed some of the wording a little bit to match Seth's voice a little bit better. As Penny takes a few steps forward, a grin forms on my lips. There you go, see? It's not so bad, is it? Again, we're using a little bit more of a laid back, younger sounding way of speaking, really. We're changing his voice to sound a bit younger. Amanda looks down at the horse uneasily, a laugh stumbling out of her. Again, we see that one of her nervous tics right away is this dry laughter or uneasy laughter. If you watch people, they will always exhibit certain behaviors when they feel relaxed or if they feel stressed. For some people, they might play with their hands a lot, rubbing their hands together, or they might hold tension in their face, or they might cough or laugh to try to relieve tension. So we can use some of those nervous tics to make our characters feel super realistic. And for Amanda, I chose to use this little bit of laughter. Now we want to be careful to not use that too repetitively, but it is nice to have something that you can show as a character's nervous tic. I suppose it's not quite as intimidating as I remember. So we changed her reply to have a little bit of a stammer. We see her, she's nervous. She's not sure still, but she's starting to embrace it a tiny bit because she sees it's maybe not life-threatening to take this small horse ride around the corral. And we use the word intimidating. So she's using a little bit more of a sophisticated vocabulary based on her background. So there we have it. Those are all the changes that were made to this small snippet of dialogue. And I want to highly encourage you to try this yourself. Try it with your own writing. As you edit through your book, whether you're in the writing process or purely the editing process, take a small excerpt to work with so you don't overwhelm yourself and play with it. Come up with a couple different versions. Look for repetitive dialogue tags. That was another thing that I took out a lot of in here was there was like almost, I think, 3 or 4 I said, or I say. And we changed those into something a little more flavorful, something that exhibited your unique character's voice a little bit better. So play with it and try different things and see what works, see what you like, see what makes your writing shine even brighter, and see what resonates with you. You can really play with a small piece of dialogue and make it into something so unique and so good that's going to have your readers taking out a highlighter and annotating your book. These are really the moments where that happens. These key moments help us make our characters' voices shine. So I want to pause right here before we move forward to remind you, if you are ready to continue doing this deep dive into dialogue, crafting incredible dialogue that is going to leave your readers chomping at the bit to read more of your books, excited to follow you as an author, highlighting snippets of dialogue and posting it on Instagram and all those things that make authors so happy to see. I want to encourage you to sign up below on my Patreon so you can be at the full Muse Challenge Summit where we're covering the Dynamic Dialogue Challenge. We're going to deep dive into so many things about how to make your dialogue just next level. We're going to go over so many things, and I'm going to share that with you at the end. But if you're not registered, do that with the link below because I would absolutely love to have you there at the summit. And it also gives you instant access to the Facebook group where writers will be gathering to encourage each other all month long. I'll be in the group as well. And there will also be the same amount of interaction and posts on Patreon. So if you don't have Facebook, it's totally okay too. So we want to focus on letting our characters' emotions and conflict show in how they are speaking. And this doesn't have to be perfect. We don't have to have perfectly polished character voices. And here's an example why. This is an excerpt from The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And I came across this excerpt on Reedsy's blog. It was an old blog post from a few years ago, and I loved what they had to say about this snippet of dialogue. The post was highlighting different pieces of dialogue, mostly from classical literature, that is exceptional when it comes to expressing unique character voice. And in this snippet here, we have Gatsby kind of making a shady business deal with a friend or a neighbor who just helped him out. So to read the excerpt, and you can read along as well. There's another little thing, he said uncertainly and hesitated. Would you rather put it off for a few days? I asked. Oh, this isn't about that. At least, he fumbled with a series of beginnings. Why, I thought, why, look here, old sport. You don't make much money, do you? Not very much. This seemed to reassure him, and he continued more confidently. I thought you didn't, but if you'll pardon you see, I carry on a little business on the side, a little sideline if you understand. And I thought that if you didn't make very much, you're selling bonds, aren't you, old sport? Trying to. So in this very short exchange, we have an enormous amount of character voice. We have stumbling. It's not perfect at all. And I want to read you a little excerpt of what the writer on the Reedsy blog said about this because I thought it was great. This dialogue from The Great Gatsby is a great example of how to make dialogue sound natural. Gatsby tripping over his own words, even interrupting himself as marked by the M dashes, not only makes his nerves and awkwardness palpable, but also mimics real speech. So it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't speak perfectly, right? When we're nervous, we're often stumbling over our words. Just as real people often falter and make false starts when they're speaking off the cuff, Gatsby too flounders, giving us insight into his self-doubt. His speech isn't polished and perfect, and neither is he, despite all his efforts to appear so. Fitzgerald also creates a distinctive voice for Gatsby by littering his speech with the character's signature term of endearment, old sport. We don't even really need dialogue markers to show who's speaking here, a sign of very strong characterization through dialogue. So that's one of the things I want you to take away from this session is that when we are really nailing our character's unique voice, when we're allowing the uniqueness of their personality to shine through the dialogue, we can almost read the book and read conversations without even glancing at the dialogue tags. We know who's speaking because of how they're speaking, because of how they're expressing themselves. So like in this excerpt here, we see him using terms that only he uses. We see him floundering and messing up and having to start over and over again with what he's saying. So we have those little unique flares patched into the dialogue that tell us exactly who's talking. So remember, when crafting unique character voices in dialogue, create strong and distinctive character voices and avoid overlap so that each character feels unique, like real people. Again, think of them as real people, not just flat characters on a page, but as someone you would meet in real life. And what would they be like? That's what we're doing. We're introducing our readers to a real life person in our real world that we're constructing. Use character profiles to help you achieve this, and find your free character profile card linked below to get started. So if you're not sure where to start with that, grab that profile below. And like I said, it doesn't have to be super detailed. It can be just a quick snippet to help us understand that character's unique voice and flavor even better. If you enjoyed this session, thank you so much for coming and for being part of this study night. And if you enjoyed it, you're going to love December's upcoming Muse Challenge, where we'll be doing a deep dive into crafting dynamic dialogue, exploring creating deeply individual character voices that stand out from the crowd, understanding body language and using it to enhance your character's interactions, how to use internal conflict to pack an emotional punch in dialogue, making sure no two character voices sound alike, and how to artfully avoid info dumping and instead make info sharing actually page turning. You don't want to miss this live brainstorming session, plus the monthly challenges that are to come with our new Muse Challenge Summits. So register below. The link is down there in the description. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/KAMNs and support at the Muse Challenge level. Not only is that going to give you access to every single summit, it's going to leave you with booklets for each summit. So you'll get a notebook full of scribblings from each meeting, each brainstorming sessions with ideas and springboards for you to carry into your writing. Lots of prompts and ideas. It's also going to give you exclusive access to the Facebook group for Muse Challengers. So I'm going to be in the group all month long. We're all going to be in there encouraging one another, cheering each other on. And this is just for Muse Challenge members to discuss how they're using the challenge in their own writing throughout the month. So this month's challenge is to write extra dynamic dialogue, and we're going to cover a lot, and we're going to keep track of our progress. We're going to talk about dialogue. We're going to talk about how it affects our writing and the impact it can make in our books. And we're all going to be cheering each other on and keeping each other accountable as we write our way through the next month, the month of December. I'm so excited. It's our first challenge. I would absolutely love to have you there. You're not going to want to miss this. It's really packed with value. You can register below. I would love to have you there. And we will also continue to do these free study nights right here on the channel. I want to say thank you again for being here. I hope that this helped you understand how to make your character's unique voice shine and make an impact in dialogue. I'll see you next time, my friend.